What you're about to experience are my opinions and truths. I'm suggesting they're possibilities for you to consider, in which you can then come up with your own logical conclusions. All right, ladies and gentlemen, fellow decoders around the world, wherever you may be, my name is Logan, your tour guide, and this is Decode Your Reality, and today we are doing part 5 of the Prison Planet series. I don't even know if I have any more left. I mean, this one is such a humdinger. Boy, ladies and gentlemen, this one is going to rattle your cage, no pun intended, with the image here. 5 fingers, 5 toes, 5 senses. I had no plans on doing Prison Planet Part 5. I thought I was done. But here we are doing another one. And I got a lot of slides, a lot of amazing graphics. And ladies and gentlemen, you will finally see, once and for all, the solidification of this reality, how it works, and why we're here as human beings, etc., etc. So let's get started. Prison Planet 5 Decoded. And just had finished my Hello Decoded the other day, and I wanted to start with this slide from that decode because it was all about the number 5. Hello being the number 23, which reduces down to the 5, and when we say 5, we get 20. We get duality. Birthday is 20. So this is a big, big marker. This is calcium, our bones and teeth, to start this presentation off because this is Prison Planet 5. And so I thought we would really start with this to kind of get the ball rolling here and then go right into this slide, which was off of my contract with God. One of the biggest discoveries of my research career was this right here. Being able to spell out the word prison with the periodic table. Not trying to fit it in a square peg in a round hole, not trying to fudge it. It's literally spelling the words out. And you can see the comedy to me, and I just laugh as a researcher and observer of this reality because I think God's a stand-up comedian. This being the icon chosen for this element, praseodymium, 59 rosary beads in a Catholic rosary bead necklace. 59 being tied to your contract with God. 59 being tied to the game of life. Here's Pyrite here. And this is the symbol for Gemini, the 2 twins. And this is you and your doppelganger. Stuck down here in duality. There's that 20. And you see, when you do the numerology of these 5 elements, 5 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 fingers, 5 toes, 5 senses. Prison Planet 5. When you do the numerology of them and you reduce it down to a double digit, you get the number 20. You get the number 20, which is going to be tied to duality and birthday, and everybody has one of those. Calcium, bones and teeth is the 20th element. And it looks like this on the periodic table when you include the other element that describes mankind, humankind. It is neon. See, neon has the average isotope of 20. Calcium has the 20 protons. But you see, neon is light. The colors of the neon, I'm a huge fan of neon. I always have been ever since I was a kid. Now I know why. So we're going to start with this neon. We're going to get into the calcium. We're going to see why. But here it is. You see, man is 10. Man is 10. Just like the word tin. Tin man. Tin is 10. And man is in duality. You see? There it is. This is how big these... See, it's all alchemy. Alchemy, numerology, source code. This is all source code. But it's a lot of alchemy. The periodic table, how valuable it is to provide the measurements of how this reality works. It's so amazing. This is where you're going to get Neo from, the savior in the Matrix. man in duality. Woman is 23. Woman is 23. Okay. But what about the calcium? Well, you're on television, right? Because television equals 40. When you say 40, it's 22. 22 is titanium, which is tied to the Fool, which is what we all are. And you're in duality, folks. And you got a bag of bones. 99% of the calcium is found in our bones and teeth, according to science. And this is what makes you up, your bag of bones. It makes you physical. Everything else, the flesh, the blood, that's all water on top of the bones. It's mainly water, but the bones and teeth are what makes your solidification as a human being. You being the Fool on television. And that's what that looks like there. So let's go back to this number 20 here for these 5 elements. When you say them in numerology, and I'm going to measure that using the string of the 3.141 pi, string of pi. Excuse me, the string of pi here. I think is it the 3.14? Yeah, 3.141 pi. Doesn't matter which one you use, they're all going to have their clues. And the number 20, here it is. You got to go 55 digits. I got a mistake there, but you got to go 55 digits into this 3.141 pi. So it's 54 and 55, and that's going to give you a total of 262. The 20 matches the total numerology output for these 5 elements in their numerology. So 55 is the big standout, 262 is the big standout, and that 20 matching the numerology of these 5 elements is the big standout. 20, is tied to duality, tied to your calcium. And then when we bring it into the 3.144 string of pi, okay, the measurement through this methodology, and we look at the number 20, and we add it up, we get pi. You get a permutation of that. So the prison is the pi. That's why the pi symbol is the Gemini symbol, which just so happens to be the 3rd zodiac sign. And 3 is the McDonald's arch, which is the sun. The sun becoming Gemini. You and the sun. You and the Spirit of God. Okay? So, going back to the 1.41 string of pi. Okay, going back to this. And I had brought this out on the Patreon, showing that, see, I was born at 1:03 a.m. No joke. I was born at 1:03 a.m. And here's the 262, and here's the weight of 262 for Lawrencium, and you see these letters right here? The L and the R. What do these stand for? And why this? Because it's 262 for the total addition of 3.141, the 55 digits. I'm going to come back to the 55, but what about the LR? Well, it's tied to Logan's Run. I got this coming out. I got this shelf, but now I'm pulling it back out. Because I've been going by Logan for over 20 years. I didn't pick the name picked me. The name picked me. My very first email was loganrun@hotmail.com. I don't use it anymore. That was my very first, it was with 2 N's. That was my very first email that I created when AOL was a dial-up. That's how long ago it was. Okay? That's how long ago it was. So I was born at 1:03 a.m. I go by Logan. I've been going by Logan for over 20 years. There's the 262. Tied to the number 20 and tied to the prison from this numerology. See how all this stuff works? It's very intricate, but you can see how it works. And it's going down in the hole, the spiral, the cyclotron. The L and the R. The 12 and the 18, which is going to give you 30, which is going to give you demiurge. But this movie, Logan's Run, come out in 1976, I think it was. But this book, it came from this book by William Nolan and George Clayton Johnson. You can do the numerology on these guys and their birthdays. But I wanted to keep this flowing because it's not about this, but the Logan's Run, the whole story of it is you have an expiration date. You don't survive past a certain age. So the book came out in 1967. 67 is the 19th prime number, and 19 is the sun card. Okay, it had 133 pages. So I'm going to measure the 133. It's important, right? And we're going to bring the 133 into the string of the 3.144 pi, because pi is the prison. And when you add up all the digits of where you find that 133, it's 997, and that's a big deal because it's a freaking prime number, folks. It's the 168th prime number, and just like that, we have the connecting point, the first one, to the Yod He Vahe. This is what the Greeks call the Yod He Vahe, the Tetragrammaton. 168 is going to be tied to erbium, which is the 68th element. Gematria, the killing name, equals 68. You see? How all this stuff is all tied to the dystopian, or the hellish regions that we're in. It can be heaven at times too. But is there an escape? That's what we're looking for. We're looking for the escape. Right? A lot of you are anyway. So going back to this 55. We've measured the 133 with the book, right? But now going back to this, why 55 digits into the string of pi and the number 20 there, measuring the 20 there, getting the 262. Why 55? Well, because it's tied to the sun, folks. See, this word right here is the original word for sun in Hebrew. It's going to be a 343 if you reduce it all the way down. But it's going to reduce down to the number 1. And the first element on the periodic table is hydrogen. Hydrogen and helium is what makes up the sun. I'm going to be showing that in just a little bit. So 55 is the big humdinger. Of course, Satan equals 55. Oh, say it isn't so. Yeah. And this right here, this element right here has the 55 for its isotope. This is going to be isotope 56, but 55.93 is what it measures. 26 is the Yod He Vah He. You have iron in your blood. You see, and this is the 55th card in the tarot, matching the word sun. So this is kind of like saying, hey, you don't want to play anymore? You want to exit the game? I'm going to show you at the end how to do that. One of the markers for it anyway. We've already been talking about this. You got to be neutral. Your heart has to be light as a feather. No attachments. It's a challenging task to do in this reality. But these are no brainer. Adam and Eve equals 26. These are very big markers. This is the sun becoming. The sun wanting to play the game. Wait till I show you this at the very end. It's going to blow your mind. It's going to blow you away. So it's all about this helium, right? Helium and hydrogen. Helium is how they first measured the sun. If you go research the element helium, that's how they first measured the sun. Not through hydrogen, but through helium. Okay, and you can see how it has the 2 there representing duality. It has the 4 representing the 4 blood types, the 24 representing Jesus, and the HE, the abbreviation, is going to be the 55. You see it right there? It's really easy, and of course the 10th letter in the Hebrew alphabet is the Yod. So you could clearly start to see that it's beginning to look like the Yod He Vah He is the sun, which is also tied to Jesus, which is also tied to Lucifer. Allah, Ahura Mazda, it's all sun. Krishna, it's all sun. Sun. And then you get the celestials outside of that as well. We're going to talk about that. So we get into this helium aspect. You can see helium being 24. And you can see it matching to the original spelling for the word Jesus, which is Jesus. Jesus, of course, is the light of the world. And what is better than the light of the world? The sun. This is the numerology, the full Greek archaic numerology for Helios. 66, the latitude, longitude of Bethlehem, where Jesus was born, is 66. 31 and 35 equals 66. This is how you connect all this stuff here. This is how you connect it. The sun becoming. So was Jesus a real dude? Maybe. I mean, I'm real, you're real. So we can't leave that out, but just what does that mean? And is the story, has it gotten butchered? But definitely this is the sun becoming. There's no question about it. This is the 2 and the 4, the 24 Jesus and helium. This is the sun becoming. Okay? The son of God. We are all the sons and daughters of the earth. And essentially you can see how it's tied to the sun. So now I want to bring in this card of illumination here on the spirit side. This is the boilerplate chart for the cards of illumination. Most of you should know this now by watching my research. This is, ground zero. This is the spirit that runs the ego, the life spread. And why I'm highlighting the 5 of spades, because the 5 of spades is right here. Okay, so I'm going to go to the very first founding position for the cards of illumination, for that 5 of spades. And there it is right there, and it's in space number 2. How about that? It sits in space number 2, and it's tied right to helium through the abbreviation of it right there. Sun, helium. Don't want to play anymore? I don't want to play anymore. Well, what does that entail? Well, we're going to get to that. But the 5 of spades, which is just so happens to be the birth card, the founding date for the Bavarian Illuminati, May 1st, 5 of spades card. Coincidence? And then it's paired with the 4 of diamonds on the ego side, the life side. Card 30, card 50, this is card 44. 44 and 30, 74. And that's going to be tied to tungsten, which is the sun. This is demiurge right here. Demiurge and the sun, folks. That's what all this is tied to here. and the Christ. So we have the 24th card in the deck called the Jack of Clubs. There's the J on there, matching Jesus, Jehovah. Okay? And you can see the connecting points, how it came into being from the Greek original Jesus. The I gets switched into the J, and now it becomes the Jack. The Jacks are the sons, Jack and Jill, the sons and daughters, the prince and princesses of the Father. Okay? That's how this looks here. That's how this looks here. And so now we bring in the sun, folks. The mighty Helios. Hydrogen and helium. I did a breakdown on this. I cannot remember where the heck it was in one of my decodes, but I broke this down, showed how it was tied right to the human being. It's tied right to boron. But hydrogen and helium, there's the clue, the big one, the big humdinger. 56. Lights, camera, action. 56. Big shout out to Roland again for showing me this. He brought this out. 56, lights, camera, action, 56. You can see how hydrogen, this means hydrogenes. Hydro is water, so this is water, genes. That's what we have. Our DNA is made up of water. Hydrogenes, water, genes. The sun becoming, folks. And then it's helium. So you have the 1 and the 2 for the protons, 12 or 21. And then you have the 1 and the 4. And the 4 and the 1 is going to give you 5. And 5 is the house of Leo, which is ruled by the sun. 5 is your 5 fingers, 5 toes, 5 senses. See how all this is beginning to make sense now, ladies and gentlemen? And this is what it ends up becoming here. The sun wants to come down and play the game. Spirit wants to come down and play the game. And it's spirit into matter. That's why it's 56, which is exactly a match to lights, camera, action. Right? Lights is 19. The sun card is the 19th card. The world card is the 21st card. It's the action. Okay? The action. 56. Spirit into matter. It's very easy to see this now. Game master equals 32. Jesus equals 24. So simple to see this, ladies and gentlemen. There is no mistaking it now. We have very, very cemented layers here of this reality. And, this is what it looks like when you spell it out. I have Son of God coming out. But how about this? You can spell I am God right here. It's missing the O. If I put the oxygen in there, it's going to give us a little bit of a different output. But you see, in Judaism, a lot of them spell it this way: the G-D. I am God. And when you do all the numbers and you add them all up, the protons, electrons, and neutrons, right here using the trusty calculator, you get the number 740. And what is this 740? It's tied to the 74th element called tungsten. Tungsten's called wolfram. That's why it has the big W on that. And the W, if you've been paying attention, the W is what the sun makes as it moves across the sky. The letter W, the letter M, the letter S, the serpent, the sine wave, and it is the light bulb. See, tungsten, they used to make light bulbs with, the filament in light bulbs. Tungsten. So this is the mankind sun, and then this is the as above sun. This is all Mandelbrot set. Okay? Heaven and hell. Okay? This is how this whole thing works here. And these are very, very big now. Very, very big. Very, very big. If you add up 64 and 158, you're going to get 222. That's radon. That's tied to Lucifer. Okay? So there's a lot of referencing points to the light of the world, to the light bringer, etc., etc. This is how all this stuff works. So 740 right here is not a prime number. So I'm going to go to the next prime number. Okay? I'm going to go to the ruler of the composite number 740, and the ruler, the next prime, is 743. And this is a really big deal. Why is it a big deal? Because of this. When I add up all the protons, electrons, and neutrons for these 5 elements that spell prison out, we get the number 470 freaking 3, which is a permutation of the 743. So you can see how valuable this is and how it's tying to the wolf, the wolfram. Wolfram equals 31. Christianity equals 31. It's all sun worship, ladies and gentlemen. All of it. And it's part of the prison. Because this 473 is also linked to the word God. You can see the permutation right there. So we have a permutation here. we have a permutation there, and then we have a permutation there, which is the ruler of the 740, which is tied to the words I am God when you add up all the protons, electrons, and neutrons. How about that? There it is. The 74. That's the magic of the 74 is, and the mirror of the 74 is 47, and scripted reality equals 47. So it's tungsten and silver. It's the sun on the silver screen. That's how all this stuff looks. It's so mind-blowing and fascinating and just so clear when you have all the tools here to see how all this stuff works. Okay, so you're in the prison. There's the prison bars right there. We're in it. You're inside the prison. You don't have to go to prison to be in a prison. You're in it. You don't get out until you die. We don't know what happens after that, right? So moving a little bit more into this, ladies and gentlemen, to measure it a different way. Now I'm going to get into the 155 with this prison. Why 155? Because this is what they all add up to. Okay? When you don't reduce it down to the number 20. Essentially, this is going to reduce down to the number 2, and that's helium, and that's the sun. Okay? So the sun becoming is what keeps you in the prison. The beautiful, glorious sun. And I love the sun. I'm a sun worshiper. I love it. I'm out there as much as I can. I love the sun. I was born on a Sunday. Okay? So this 155 is a big deal. I think I have this out of order. Darn it. But let me go back up here. I do. I have this out of order. But let me just come back up here. The 473, because I have more slides of this. The 473 and the 374, they're marked right here. And you see, when I add all this stuff up and we get the 473, what I want to do now is I want to reduce it down and get a card of illumination to figure out exactly what it looks like through the cards, through the rules of the cards. How do we do that? Well, the rules of the cards of illumination, typical deck of playing cards, is there's 52 cards in the deck. In order to get a card attributed to this number right here, we have to take the 52 total amount of cards in a deck and reduce it down until we get to 52 or below. And so we have to go 9 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 is the sine wave, and we get to the number 5. 5 is the 5 of hearts. 5 fingers, 5 toes, 5 senses. Okay? And this 5 is a very big deal because it's measured in the string of the 3.141, which is tied to this right here, the 141. There's the 5 right after the 141, keeping you stuck inside. And what does it add up to? 14. Just like the word God equals 14. Okay, these 5 digits here. 5 digits, 5 letters. 5 elements. 6-letter word, excuse me, because it's Prison. 5. 5 equals 14. And the 14, ladies and gentlemen, is going to lead to that number 5. This is going to give you the number 5. So I'm going to measure the number 5 now, and I'm going to measure it into the string of the golden ratio. Okay? I'm going to measure this into the string of the golden ratio. So again, this equals 5, this equals 5, this equals 5. We reduce it down, this equals 5. The 5 of hearts, the 5 of cups. And now I want to measure the 5 right here in the string of the golden ratio. The very first 5 in the string of the golden ratio, we got to go 23 digits in. Remember the word hello equals 23. You're in it. It adds up to the number 119. That's going to be tied to the 50th element called tin, the Tin Man. And this number 23 is called the Royal Star of the Lion. The Royal Star of the Lion, which is the yin yang. Okay, the lion represents desire, lust, ego, works for the pride. It's going to be tied to Leo the lion, the 5th house of astrology. The 5th house of astrology, ruled by the sun, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Ruled by the sun. So let's get into the star map now. Let's get into the astrological map. We're going to get into Astro 360 for this prison planet, part 5. And we're going to look at the measurements. Some of these measurements with the Astro 360, how valuable this thing is. I know I have to come out with a tutorial on this, but how valuable taking a 360-degree compass, slapping it over the 360-degree wheel of the zodiac, and measuring layers through the zodiac signs is completely changed the way I look at this reality. It has helped me so much. It has helped me so very much. And this can be flipped because typically we read astrology where Taurus goes down here and Pisces goes up here. So this is going to be interchangeable, but I'm going to show you why this is very important to do that. But Aries is always the starting point, and the sun going around and coming down and down into the underworld. Okay? Coming down into the underworld. So here it is right here. The sun in Leo, right here. See, the marker is right here. the very starting point of the transition between Cancer and Leo, Cancer being the moon now, the bride of the sun, okay, is at 105. Why do I have 105 here? Because again, it's the starting point of Leo. Why do I have Leo here? Because Leo is ruled by the sun. Those of you that have your sun in Leo, well, this is going to be a lot for you. Everybody's going to have this because the sun travels through Leo every year and everybody gets affected by it. Okay? The most powerful Carrington event happened during this during the sign of Leo. How about that? The Carrington event, the biggest one ever recorded, Leo. Of course it was, because this is the fullest expression of the sun here. But it's the 105, and why is this a big deal, folks? Because it's tied to the great architect of the universe, as what the Masons call it. So there you have it, folks. There are no more secrets. There's nothing hidden anymore, and there's nothing evil about this. Unless you say it is. Because the marker is right there, in between the moon and the sun. And of course, the moon has a lot to do with this as well, because it's the bride of the sun. The bride of the sun has a lot to do with this. And this 105 is right there, folks. You can't miss it. And this is, I'm telling you, this is tied to the prison planet. So I'm going to measure some of these. I'm going to show you some of these digits as we go through this presentation a little bit more. This is the one slide I have off of my Masonic Flat Earth. This is clearly showing you, and if you watch it on the Patreon, if you're not a member of Patreon, well, you'd be able to see this. This is the Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. This is what the sun makes as it moves around the earth. You can put it on a globe model. It does not matter if you're not a flat earther, if you're a glober. I don't care what truth you believe. It doesn't matter to me. And if you're going to say, oh, you're wrong if you don't believe it's flat, folks, it's all of them. Okay, I showed that in the Masonic Flat Earth Decoded. So if you're interested in watching it, go to Patreon, get a membership, and you'll be able to watch it. This is one of the slides right here. Clearly, it's the ball and stick model of white phosphorus, and it's tied to Lucifer, okay, which is tied to the sun. All right, tied to the sun. So right there, you can't miss it. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, there's the diamond right there. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to show you something that is very important for this prison planet 5. And the story in Greek mythology is that Zeus, the largest planet in the canopy, gave birth to Helios the sun. And this is also Athena. This is going to be the masculine feminine aspect of the sun. It's going to be Athena / Pallas. They're both born of the third eye of Zeus. That's the great red spot. And you see, when you look at the zodiac sign, traditionally, when you read it as a practitioner, when you pull your chart, you're going to have by default, Aries is going to be at the 9 o'clock position, and it's going to go counterclockwise. Taurus is going to go down. Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio. Sagittarius is going to be up here in the same position as the chart this is the as above, this is the so below chart. Aries over here, and we go to the sign of Leo here. So we have Leo the sun, and we have Sagittarius the archer, ruled by Jupiter. How about that? You see the connections? This is house number 9. This is house number 5. And what is 95? One half of the I am. Flip it around. What's 59? Contract with God. The game of life. 59 beads in a rosary bead in Catholicism. Okay? This is all right here now, ladies and gentlemen. There's no mistaking it anymore. Okay? This is very, very clear. The great architect of the universe, not only tied to the sun, not only tied to the moon, but it's tied to Zeus as well. Okay? Zeus. A lot of references to Zeus. Jupiter, you want to call it Jupiter, go right ahead. So now we have a marker to the word providence as well, the eye of providence. And we do that through the bridge of alchemy. Palladium is Pallas. Pallas is Athena. Athena was born from the third eye of Zeus. Okay? Which to me is going to be Jesus. Okay? Palladium is Pallas. And palladium has several isotopes. 105 is one of them. 46 is the mirror of the 64. 64 squares in a chessboard. 64 possible codons in our DNA. The word providence being that number 46. You see that? And it's in the sign of Leo, right there at that 105 marker, folks. I haven't even moved from the 105 yet. But let's keep going here and now get into this scripture in the New Testament, 1 Peter 5 verses 8. This is where the Bible is just such a book of contradictions. I'm going to show you, I don't know how you would kind of chalk this up any other way. I really don't. I really don't know how you would describe and chalk this up as it would be a separate aspect, because clearly it's telling you the architect of the universe is the sun and the moon. The sun gets the real marker here, along with Zeus. And then this scripture right here says clearly that your adversary is a lion. It's right there, folks. And the marker for that is 112. This is the original, the Greek spelling of it, the numerology, in its full archaic spelling. Okay, using double digits. I'm going to show you when we reduce it down, what it gets down to. But there's the 112. And there's the marker 112 right there. And it's still in the sign of Leo. And how about that, folks? Think about what I'm showing you here. Is that this scripture says that your adversary, the devil, is a roaring lion. And there it is inside the sign of Leo. And Leo, you mean to tell me Leo is ruled by the sun? That's why I have the sun devil. I had done sun devil and blood sun and the superstar, part 1, part 2, part 3. And there's the marker for the periodic table. It's cadmium. It's this 48th element, the 112. And what about the 48, ladies and gentlemen? It's tied to the Knight of Cups. This is the 48th card in the tarot. What is this card all about? Looking for love, chasing ass, wanting to build something. It's spirit. And remember, it's the Jack, man. It's the Jesus card. It's spirit becoming into a human being, and now it has its cup out and it wants to play. It's feeling frisky. It's feeling frisky right here. The Knight of Cups, the Knight of Love, the Jack of Hearts. The Jack of Hearts, Knight of Cups. Make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the way this looks right here. And it's even tied to the Lion of Judah. What is the lion? Leo. Leo's the lion. And there's the 48. Right there, the protons for cadmium. This is the 48th card in the deck. Okay, so the lion is the sun. The sun wants to play, and as it does, it comes down and incarnates into a human being. That's why it's just so contradictory. That the sun becomes the roaring lion, and it's your adversary, and it wants to use you. And it's like, of course, yes, it wants to use you for ego. It wants to use you for its desires. And we're going to get into that because it's the Fool, which is right here. So when you reduce it all the way down to single digits, it goes from 112 to 48 all the way down to the number 22, which of course is going to be all the way down to the number 4. And the 4 is how many blood types we have. 22 is the total amount of letters in the Jewish alphabet. 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet. Mistake, accident. 22 being Tau. 79 is the 22nd prime number, and 79 is gold. Is that an accident? No. What is the gold? The sun. And the 22nd card, the hidden aspect of this in the Fool, it's 0 and 22. We become the Fool. This is why it has the sun here and why it's all yellow. Okay, not a care in the world. Very flamboyant. Not a care in the world. You become the Fool. And now you become naive. You become innocent. You have, you don't know what it feels like to be ripped off, cheated on, screwed over. You end up finding out, though, in this reality. And then you start to put up walls. But that's what this stuff all means right here, ladies and gentlemen. All this stuff, that's what this all means. 22 is the letter V. V is the inverted pyramid. There's a lot of pyramid. There's a lot of tetrahedron references to this. So this is really where it gets interesting, ladies and gentlemen. This is the best part of the presentation. Is you see, the sun is the spirit, and then we become the Fool. As it comes in, the Spirit of God enters inside of you. And now we are cut off from source in a way. Right? Obviously not because the spirit of your voice in your head uses you, but now it starts to build up an identification down here, and it becomes that Fool. And you see, this is where it gets super interesting, because this is gold. And this right here is Fool's gold. Because this is the 22nd card hidden in the tarot, 22. The Titans, titanium is 22. And this is gold. So this is the Fool's gold. Fool's gold. And it just so happens that it equals 45, just like Pandora's box. So when the sun wants to come down and become a human being, well, out pops you when your parents have sex and they procreate. And now you come out, and now you're in Pandora's box, where all your wishes, hopes, and dreams can be fulfilled. 2 tickets to paradise, Eddie Muddy sang. 45 is the 9. 9 this is gonna be tied to the 9 of hearts, the 9 of cups. Pandora's box card. Okay? As you are the fool, sun becoming. You're the sun becoming. But it's fool's gold. Okay? It is fool's gold because it represents materialism. It represents materialism. I'm going to come back to this here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go back to some of these markers now in the sign of Leo. We're going to move now to the number 120. Why the number 120 and why this one is big? Genesis 6 verses 3, where it specifically says, my spirit shall not always be with man. His days shall be numbered 120 years. There's the 120 right smack dab in the middle of Leo the lion, the adversary. And here's the scripture broken down into its single digits. Genesis 6 verses 3. There is that 22 again. It is fool's gold. See, we become the fool, folks. It's very crystal clear that we become the fool. And this 120 is a very big marker. Why is it a big marker? Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, this is the humdinger of the entire presentation. So I hope you're going to pay attention to this. I hope you look at this. I hope you go check it out for yourself. Because there's a lot of markers in here that I'm not going to bring out. The numerology of this, etc. And the crazy thing is, ladies, as fate would have it, the last time I went back to the U.S. for Jason from Archaic's event in San Diego, I had met with a friend in L.A., and she gave me 3 big pieces of pyrite as a gift. This stuff right here is called fool's gold. And I knew it was called that. When I saw, I didn't see, I've been putting these numbers together for a very long time now, these. And now I got this full decoder coming out. Now I know what this means. So this right here is what's called the molar mass, right here, the chemical formula for pyrite. It is going to be 1 iron and 2 sulfurs. 1 iron and 2 sulfurs. And when you add up, called the molar mass, you add up the neutrons and protons, you get 120. You see? And there it is. Right? I mean, this is absolute my book. There is no getting around this like, oh, well, maybe that's a... No. This, to me, is my final answer. This is a huge humdinger. Huge, freaking huge humdinger. And now I know. We become the fool. And we become fool's gold. And this stuff right here, I mean, you go read about this stuff. And they used to make sparks out of it. It can be a stone that can create sparks. Remember the band Tool that sang the song Pneuma? 1 spark, the sun becoming. Oh yeah, it's right there. It's so hilarious if you ask me. It's so hilarious. And this is the most abundant sulfide mineral as well. So if you know your minerals, if you know pyrite, right here, I mean, you can go and do the numerology of the Greek words here. Okay, the mineral that strikes fire. This is tied to Prometheus as well. There's so many amazing layers of decoding in here. It's ridiculous. But there it was, and I knew this was it. Fool's gold, the 120, and there's the marker. So the sun is in Leo, and we become the fool. And what is across the way? Aquarius, the only man on the zodiac. Okay, the man. Typically, it's the man holding the pitcher of water. But it could be the fool. The fool. Okay? It's right across from Leo. And this is such a huge humdinger, man. Such a huge humdinger. Right across from 300. 300 and 120 is 420. And the 42 represents the lake of fire. So many amazing nuggets with this one, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to come back to this for the ending of this presentation. Let's continue moving forward and do another measurement here with the number 127. Still inside that house of Leo, the great architect of the universe. Still inside the house of the sun. The 126, 127 is going to be tied to that element called iodine. Iodine has 53 protons. The 53 is the 16th prime number, and that's going to be tied to the word light. You see, what does the sun provide? Light. It's the I am that I am, the sun. The sun, the sun, the sun, the sun. You see how all this stuff is? It's so beautiful, and it becomes fire. What does the sun do? It's fire. So it's spirit into matter, it's the sun becoming, and now you're in the prison planet. And now you're fool's gold. And I'm going to show you why it's fool's gold here. But it's also linked to the Torah. We get into Judaism, and we get to the 5 books of the Torah. There was only 5. Moses had 5 books, 5 fingers, 5 toes, 5 senses. 5 equals 20. Duality equals 20. You know how big this is now, ladies and gentlemen. Now you know how big and what is the 5th house of astrology? Leo. You're starting to see this now? There are 10 commandments. Okay, you're starting to see all this beautiful stuff now? The word Torah equals 19. The 19th card in the tarot is the Sun card. 53 is the numerology of the word Torah. Okay? And this is Yeshua right here. So there's no mistaking it. If you want it like, oh, Yeshua's not Jesus. Well, okay, it's right there. It's tied to the sun, ladies and gentlemen. Krishna is 19 in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, sun reference, sun reference, sun reference, sun reference. So moving along, another marker, we now get into the number 131. 131. And I knew this was a big one because I've put this out in many decodes. There's someone in my head, but it's not me. Taken off that song called Brain Damage, written by Roger Waters. So the marker here is the Xenon. Xenon's in that house of Leo. Leo/Sagittarius, Leo/Jupiter. The Sun/Jupiter. Remember the marker. Sagittarius in that same spot if we flip it. Xenon is the 54. New station 54, and they live broadcasting the hypnotic trance. It's all here, folks. Someone in my head, but it's not me. Brain damage. And what about this 29? Tied to the sun. So I got this coming out. My son of God. I've already put this out. I'm going to show it to you right here. It's very easy. This right here was probably one of the greatest discoveries I found. This is not my photographs, but this is the sun taken at the same day of every month for 12 months. And you can see the pattern that it makes. It makes a boomerang shape. Essentially, it makes this right here, and this is called ribonucleic acid. It's right there, which is where you're going to get the deoxyribonucleic acid. And when you reduce it all the way down, ribonucleic acid is the 2, and the acid is the 9. That's the 29, and there's the 29. Brain damage. There's someone in my head, but it's not me. Inside the house of Leo. The sun, folks. What's inside your head? The spirit of the sun. When you say 29, it's 33. Tied to the Christ crucifixion date. Tied to the vertebrae you have in your spinal cord. You see how all this stuff fits in here? It's so beautiful. Even this right here. This is Adam. The sun is Adam, and Eve was made from Adam's rib. Somebody had caught it. I hadn't brought it up. Someone caught it. I can't remember the person who caught it. Good eye. Ribonucleic acid, the rib of the sun. Adam is the sun, the atom. You know, if you follow Santos, all is a tomb. The sun, atom, helios. And then you get the rib of Adam, and then you get Eve, and now you get the deoxyribonucleic acid, okay, which is going to be a different marker here. So moving into the last piece of this Leo here, right at the very end, before it moves into Virgo, it's the 134, 135. 135, I think, is the last marker for Leo. And you now have this right here called barium. Barium has several isotopes. Its most abundant is its average is 137, which is the 138. That's going to move into Virgo, which is the 6th sign. But it's 56, and it's that lights, camera, action. It's spirit into matter, folks. Right here. Again. Right? Make no mistake about it. That's how big these markers are with this Astro 360 over the zodiac wheel. And here's what it looks like. This is the isotopes of barium. And here are some of the stable ones it has. And I just wanted to show you, here is the 2 big ones, 134 and 135. And you can see this is the protons, 56, and this is the neutrons, 78 and 79. Okay? And the 79, ladies and gentlemen, is tied to Jesus. Because you see, 24 in the string of the golden ratio occupies digits 79 and 80. And we know Jesus is the 204, is the 24. This is the word son in Latin. This is the word Jesus in Latin. Jesus is 24. Aurum in Latin, meaning sun, reduced down to the 24. And it's gold and Mercury, the messenger, marking it right here with the protons of barium. Okay, which is going to move into Virgo. This is why Jesus was born of a virgin and he was a fisher of men. The marker is going to be right here with the Christ. That whole story is going to be right through Virgo/Pisces. Okay? And it's going to be the sun becoming, ladies and gentlemen. And you get to become the character called Jesus. And you're having that Jesus Christ superstar experience. That's what's going on with you. So, to get to the tail end of this, I'm going to go right back to the full numerology of these 5 elements, spelling out the word prison. And we get the number 155. And we go and measure that into the string of the 3.141 pi. And without including the 3, we have the 314 being the marker for the beginning of that 155 lineage. Most of you know this. So now you know what the prison is. It's pi. And what is pi? It's the 16 or 17. It's Earth, the perfect circle. My last name is Payette. That's why I'm showing you this. I have the prison card, my birth card. Moving it into the string of the golden ratio, here it is. With the 155 appears at the 3,114th digit, another permutation of the 3.141. So we have it here with the 155. How about that? 2 different mathematical equations, same outcome. Same story, same outcome. And then what about this? The tail end of this, ladies and gentlemen, saving the best for last. What about that 155 through mathematics? Well, here it is tied to the number through the prime. 907 is the 155th prime number. Why is this a big deal? Because the 178 appears at the 907th decimal digit. So let me back up and tell you that again, because you're probably like, what does that mean? 907 is the 155 prime number. 155 is the numerology total for these 5 elements that spell out the word prison. The 907, tied to the 155. So we bring this into the we bring this into the string of the golden ratio. I should have the golden ratio here. And we have the 178 appearing at the 907th decimal digit. So now we bring the 178 into this. So the 907 tied to the 155 is now tied to the 178 in the string of the golden ratio. And what is the 178? It's tied to Pyrite. When you do the total addition of the neutrons, protons, and electrons, going beyond the molar mass is the neutrons and protons. But when you add on the electrons, all of these, that is the number you will get. 178. So the 178 is tied to the 907, which is tied to the 155, which is tied to the word prison spelled out with the periodic table. And 97 is the 45th prime number, and that's going to be tied to Pandora's box. So you can see, ladies and gentlemen, you could start to see the prison you're in. It's called duality. And it's fool's gold. What does fool's gold mean? The sun becoming. So the bottom line for this, to conclude this presentation, I got a few slides left. The sun wants to come down and play the game. Spirit wants to come down and play the game. Maybe it's a bunch of stars out there in the canopy that go through the sun and they want to play the game as well. But the sun represents the love, and then the fool's gold, the box, the cube, represents the lust, the desire to play the game. The wanting, the desire to go create a company, to be a human being, to go pet an animal, to own a dog, to have a cat. It's the sun becoming, wanting to play its own game. And it becomes part of Pandora's box, where it's half and half. It's heaven and hell. It's heaven and hell down here, folks. When the sun comes down to become an avatar, it's heaven and hell. All of your lives, for the most part, all of you have had good times and bad times. The sun becoming. And this is what it looks like as the sun becomes a human being. As the great band Tool sang in its song Pneuma, that's the sun becoming one spark. We're made from the dust of the ground. The Lord breathed into the nostrils. The Spirit of God went inside of you. Through that story now. And this is really where it ends here, ladies and gentlemen. I thought this saved the best graphic for the last. This was an amazing rendition of the Fool. And this is fool's gold, ladies and gentlemen. This right here is all fool's gold. This is the fool. This is the sun wanting to come down and desiring the things of life. The materialism. The boats, the cars, the women, the men, the money, the companies, the stocks, the bonds. It's the sun becoming, folks. And this is the molar mass of pyrite. Pyrite represents the fool's gold. What is the fool's gold? Lust, desire, materialism, wealth, riches. There's nothing wrong with having these desires. That's why life is a contradiction. Because it's fun to have things in life. It's fun to have them. But when you get too much, when you're looking for the happiness in just the materialism, you'll never find your way. See, the sun, we know this is sun. The Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh being 26. Iron. It wants to play the game. And it comes down through fire. This is fire. Lust. And it wants to, it desires things just like you do. Like I said, I've been saying it many times. If you created this reality, would you come down here and play your own game? I guarantee 100% of you would say yes. You wouldn't say, nah, I'm not going to go down and play. No, you'd play. If you'd have the ability to incarnate into a human being, you would do it. This is the sun becoming. Helios becoming a fool's gold. And the fool's gold is the duality. It's Pandora's box, folks. This is what it is. And I got a decode coming out on this. Another humdinger. Okay? Another humdinger I got coming out. Exclusively going to be on Patreon. The Fool Decoded. And it's duality, folks. It's right here. The desire. Birthday is 20. Desire is 20. 5. The number 5 is 20. Pawn, Jesuit, Mason, all 20. So we all become this. The fool's gold, which is pyrite. This is the chemical formula for pyrite. And it's very crystal clear now. There are no doubts anymore in my mind. This is the sun becoming into man or woman, and it comes through into duality, into the prison. And now you have the doppelganger. Okay, that's what it looks like. So, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this presentation of Prison Planet 5. I thought we went out with a bang here. I mean, this graphic was my favorite. It really set the tone for the end of this presentation to show you, fool's gold and pyrite. And I mean, it was finding the pyrite, finding this right here was absolutely magical. And it was very big in my research career at this stage of the game right now, as fate would have it, on today's date. This was very big for me to find this. Very, very big. P being the first letter of my last name, P being the 16th letter, and 16 being tied to the word lust. Okay, pyrite. This is how big these are. And the molar mass of this, the chemical formula, just absolutely massive for this right here. Okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, we'd love to hear your comments. Keep them coming. Just keep them cordial again. We'd love to hear what you got to say. So, place them in the bottom and have fun. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for today. My name is Logan for Decode Your Reality. Until next time, we will see you later.